Wasea. Sasa tufanye hivi, hii inaenda viral, si ndio? Tulienda Kisii University, walijaribu tuliwapatia 80%. So DJ nike instrumental. So kama uko na kofia chukua inua, kama uko na wig toa tu, tunajua ni wig. Usidanganya watu ni it's your hair. Tunajua ukweli ni wig.
Eka dimanga.
Aya, inua mkono. Twende. Are you ready?
This is DJ.
Are you ready? Shika sasa, shika mabega. Tukishika hivi. Haya. Are you ready?
This
uko
is
tayari?
DJ Benazir.
1, 2, everybody jump up, jump. Tunaruka hivi. Kila mtu sema. Sema. Ati. Ninaitwa Jooust, niko Jooust, napenda mastingo. Ninaitwa Jooust, niko Jooust, napenda mastingo. Ya kwanza. Ya tatu ni wewe, bulo. DJ nataka uniwekee wimbo ya Kiluya. Waluya wako wapi? Halo? Waluya! Halo? Kama unajua unapenda Omanyala wapi kelele? Kama unapenda Senator mtarajiwa wa Kakamega wapi kelele ufanake? Waluya sasa tunaanza na nyenye, si ndio? Alafu tukuje Nyanza, si ndio? Haya, Waluya kama peka, shika mapeka basi.
Ubira byose.
Haya. Uko tayari? Nataka Mluya akuje. Kama si Mluya tuone. Haya. Sema. Waluya wako wapi? Waluya songa nyuma. Sasa kama unajua uko na kabambe inaitwa Aikabambe. Kama uko na Infinix ni iPhoenix. Kama uko na simu imechapa ni iPhone and above. Waliojaluo wako wapi wewe? Wafikelele wajaluo. Tunataka nini? Power. Unataka nini? Power. Unataka nini? Power. Oh. Wajaluo. Hakuna wajaluo hapa wala. Watu Siaya wako wapi?
Pokaneni Yesu, kinywango ngimana. Pokaneni Rabi, kiweyo ya mawasigoloya. Pilipili kedonga. Pilipili lochuma. Okiweyo wasigoloya.
Watu wa Migori wako wapi?
Ngimana ngimana. Yesu ratelo, simbaneno loyogi. Lokeyogi, kiyora pirio. Isati gotunga mato.
Hakuna wajaluo hapa.
Osiapa ise wiro ya gimumanye. Okiweyo wasigoloya. Pokaneni Yesu, kinywango ngimana. Pokaneni Rabi, kiweyo ya mawasigoloya. Ratelo, tuondo musa
Ingine. Twende. Wapi sigana gala, wapi sigana gala. Ay. Weka mkono hivi. Twende nipe.
Otio talingalinga, Yesu tio talingalinga.
Sawa.
Otio talingalinga, Ruto tio talingalinga.
Kanyo.
Otio talingalinga, Yesu tio talingalinga.
Sawa.
Otio talingalinga, Ruto tio talingalinga. Talingalinga.
Hapana, leta mchanganyiko. Nataka nini? Munataka nini? Are you guys ready for Willis Laburu? Are you ready for Ferdinand Omanyala? Sijui tuchagua ngoma moja za Kenya ama ni confirm, si ndio? Wakisi wako wapi? Wakisi? Gaki mko hapa? Gaki. Wacha nione matoke basi, wacha inua matoke. Wakisi wako wapi? Wakisi ndio. Na wanafanana na Mbara Mbamba. Ebu DJ endelea tuone yake. Tuende kazi.
Yakini sumata asobokenu na esweta
Haya.
weleta osisemirie jero koligenta
Inua mkono sema Baba. Ofweneke alituambia hii haiendi mahali, si ndio? Haiendi mahali. Asante. Sasa tumetoka kwa Kisii. Wakale wako wapi? Chamge Misiri. Wakale wako wapi bana? Acha mimi. Muko na vice president mkale. Wapi kelele yake wewe? DJ, twende. Aya. Kwani uko peke yako? Hakuna wakale wengine wamefika. Haya. Nipe. Haya. Hii ni nini sasa? 1, 2, 3. Ado wa nyumba. Watu wa Murima wako. Watu wa Murima muko Nyanza. Mumeguza. Kujeni watu wa Murima wewe. Wamesema usiguze Murima. Tukimalizia. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, sema.
Nego kena.
Ache.
Nakoga.
Wajalo acha bana. Atero ainya. Pigeni makofi, thank you so much. So right about now I want to announce the winners. Tukae chini comrades. Nisaidia social media. Tupatane airtime, watu wamefollow social media yetu. Ukiangalia ya Daktari Bishop Akama unafollow. Ukiona ya Willis Raburu follow. Ukiona Ferdinand Omanyala follow. Ukiona Daktari Fweneki follow. Aya. Wacha niatafute wina hapa, wacha nikuje nimepatiwa saba nisome. Ndio mnaanza kufollow saa hii. Enye natafuta ni young entrepreneur business. Acha tuingie. Ukisikia jina yako kujia airtime. Itajua aje sasa. Kuna account hapo ni announce. Okay. So, IG tafuta malimeandikwa YEI program. Tuingie haraka comrade. Tukimaliza hii tour lazima tukue na over 500,000 followers. Haya si ndio hawa. Haya. Okay, so kama unajua unaitwa I am Brian 254 kwa wapi akuje airtime wapi? Kuja na kwa makofi yake tafadhali. It's Jimmy 224. Kuja haraka tafadhali. Wapi makofi yake tafadhali? Jimmy huko tu hapa nyuma. Tuharakishe. Tunaenda haraka. Alexander Sheldon ako wapi? Wapi ako wapi? Kuja. Nije katumsikia haraka wakiendelea. I have 2 minutes. Please follow. Naona mnafollow watu wengi sana. Thank you so much. Mike Omenda kuja. Hii ni acha 100. Hey, madam amna bundles. Ami Suleiman, where are you? Ami Suleiman uko wapi? Ai, umefungua. Ai, huyu amepata ya kufungua. Nimebaki na yako ni gani?
We are Bad Boys DJs.
Haya, nimebaki na 30 seconds please. Twende haraka. Ama naenda nayo. Melonadi yako wapi? Melonadi KE. Kuja haraka. Account ni YEI program. Muna follow wengi surely. Wacha nitafute random. Chris Otina, where are you? Otina. Nimebaki na 2. Haya, ya pili ni mtu atakuja hapa haraka achukue. Haya. Mwenye anasema kuja. Nataka inua mkono. 1, haya. Another one upande moja. Alafu basi mlinyoroshwa jana. Pole. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much. My name is Timeless Noel. Within 1 minute nataka kusema a big shout to young business entrepreneurs kwa sababu imenijenga. 30 seconds. Timeless Noel imekuwa kwa TV for over 10 years na ni talent ndio imenijenga. Sawa. So ambia bestako believe, ambia bestako believe, behave, become. Na unafaa kuomoka na Yesu. Asanteni sana. Thank you so much. God bless you. Wapi kelele yake Timeless?
Asante sana. Asante. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, next I'm told we have to invite in a special way Willis Raburu. DJ.
Wapi kelele ya Willis Raburu? Wabebe. Shit. Aya, sema uwabebe.
watu wakasema nadharau MCA. So hiyo ni kelele ya mtu mwingine, lakini sasa for yourself sema uwabebe. Very good, very good. Finally, sema tena wabebe. Very good. It's so good to be here. My name is Willis Raburu. Hata mimi natafuta. Wow. Na kwa wale watu wenye si fans wa Manchester United tunasema wangapi hapa ni wase wa Manchester United? Hey, very good. Rudia tena. Usiogope. Na wangapi ni wale watu wenye wanadhani watashinda? Wapi kelele ya Arsenali? Unajua sikujua kwamba Bishop ako na kazi mingi sana ya kuombea watu wenye wanadhani bado wanaweza shinda. Delusions of grandeur. But ni sawa tu. Anyway, I love Arsenal. Oh, karibu tutapike. Anyway, all the worst to you. You'll be okay. So today we told to talk about communicating. Ofunika has done an amazing job by there. A round of applause for him as well. And a round of applause for Timeless Noel. Because now after you have done, most of the things he has said, and he's spoken amazingly about Kua brand. Brands be different, right? There is Ofunika the brand. There is Bishop Kama the brand. Okay? There is Elise the brand. Kuna Mbokadoba. Unajua Mbokadoba?
So unajua Mbokadoba starting go remote starting ama hiyo moja ni sawa. But you see that means they're different brands. If I say right now, if I say Mercedes Benz, are you thinking about the car or are you thinking about the logo? You thought about the logo, right? If I say BMW, you can see the logo. If I say Microsoft, you either see the logo or ule jamaa anajaribu kutumaliza anaitwa Bill Gates. So that is what brands are. Now, in a world where there is a Mercedes, in a world where there is a BMW, in a world where there is a Mbokadoba, in a world where there is a Willis, and you want to become like Willis, there's an Ofunike, you want to become like Ofunike, ashasema lazima upandishe red card, you want to become like Omanyala, na pengine huku imenini sana kama yangu kitambo. Everybody is a brand. So how do you stand out as a brand? And I'll tell you that using my own story. When I joined Royal Media Services as an intern in 2010, so that's going to be like, this is yours is 17 years, right? So this is my 16th year. In fact, April will be my 16th year in the industry. When I joined in 2010, I was fresh off of campus. Mimi nilienda Moi University. That's why nikiona wagale wako hapa pia nasema karara kabisa. Kwa sababu sisi tulikuwa Moi University, nilikuwa huko KSS. And I wanted to become a journalist at that point. Actually, to be honest, I didn't want to become a journalist per se. I just wanted to be on TV, if I'm being honest. I just wanted to have my name somewhere on TV. And back then I used to go, my full names by the way are Willis, Wayne, Edwin, Opio, Otondi, Raburu. Yes, even Edwin, pow! So, back then in high school, most of the people call, in campus, most of the people call me Wayne. I know when I joined from campus. Now in campus, I was a different animal altogether. Mimi hizo vitu vyote Ofunika alisema msifanye, mimi nilikuwa nafanya. Nilikuwa nafanya. Sijui rule ya 10 to 10, ati usionekane kwa hostel ya msichana before 10 am, usionekane after 10 pm. Nilikuwa hapo ndani. Mimi nilikuwa ndani. Ati I drank, I think so. I come from my dad was an administrator. He worked in the government, and then he's also doubled up as a pastor, very strict. And I think that's why nilikuwa nimefungiwa sana. Nimefungiwa sana primary, nimefungiwa hallelujah. Secondary nikafungiwa, although nikafunguliwa kidogo because my school was a mixed school. So nikaanza kuona wasichana, I was like, "Ooh, look what the Lord has done." And then now in campus, I was not only far away, because you see in Kisumu, I used to be so afraid of my dad that I could not mess around in Kisumu town because I knew that somehow word itamfikia. So I would just behave. But now niko Eldoret. Kabla ufike, lazima either upande ndege ama upande gari, alafu ufike kwanza Eldoret town. Alafu sasa ndio uingie Keses, another 32 kilometers hivi. Then ukishaingia Keses, ukishafika Moi University kwa gate, before ufike dome, unatembea. It was beautiful. And I tell this story a lot. When I joined campus, my dad told me, if you have sex, you will die. Not ati you will, alisema hata unaweza kuvulia tu hapo juu. Sema down, no. Na umelala. So I was really afraid. It was leadership by fear, which doesn't really work. So I was really afraid of that until the day I did have sex. Then I realized I am immortal. That nothing can take me out. Although I was very scared that first night, I remember. Nilikaa hapo nikiangalia juu nikisema, sasa ukikuja saa hii, was it worth it? And I was like, yes, it was. It was really good. But I was a different animal because I started finding myself basically in campus. In campus was the first time I drank alcohol because again our family was very strict. I went to town, nikaangalia my drinks, nikaona ingine inaitwa VAT 69. So I thought to myself, because it looks like it's value added tax na ni VAT, this must be a government sanctioned drink. Sasa sikujua ati sijui lazima sijui kuna chesa. Mimi niko na watu wanakunywa then wana mix. I didn't know that you have to take it from the bottle and you put it in a glass, then you put the other one. Mimi nilisema ndio ifike hiyo nusu tuongeze chesa ni kunywa tu neat. So kwanza nikafanya nilienda kwa a certain room nikakunywa. By the time nilikuwa narudisha hivi na nikaenda nayo pia. So that's the first time. So I experienced a lot of fasts in campus for me. But then I had always had a dream of actually being on TV. And I didn't let that dream die. And in Moi University at the time, Oxford, Longhorn, nobody wanted to go to TV. So the first place I learned that if you want to get ahead in life, you have to do something different is in campus. Because Moi University Radio opened, it was a 5-kilometer radius, and I decided, I think I want to be on TV one day. I can practice, I can do this, let me change and stand out. Everybody will say, we're talking about Oxford, where Longhorn. Now there's nothing wrong with, we have amazing journalists who write for newspapers, who write books, publications, but for me I wanted to be on TV. And back then I used to have a comedy show called Weighing Live, and I used to charge people 30 shillings to attend my shows. They used to be every 2 weeks, and I had an alter ego. Nilikuwa navaa kama vile saa zingine ndugu yetu Eric Mondi anavanga kama msichana. I had an alter ego as well, and I did this comedy show. And at that time, when I would go to church, even watu wanasema kanisa ni hospitali. So hata hizo vitu zote nilikuwa nafanya, bado nilikuwa naenda tu kwa kanisa na Mungu ananipenda tu vile nilikuwa. And at that time, our bishop then used to say, you have to have excellence. You have to do things extraordinarily well. So he took time, I spent money, I saved money, I printed a big poster of myself, and then I sat in the student center and I was selling tickets for my show in live, and people would come and ask me, now who Wayne? Anakuja kweli? And yet ni mimi, because the picture looked so like it's somebody coming from somewhere else. But I struggled to get into Citizen Television. When I got in as an intern. When I got to Citizen Television, they told me interns are not supposed to speak. They're not supposed to be seen. They're not supposed to do reports. They're not supposed to do all of that. So again, I did exactly the opposite. I made sure I made friends with the cameraman, because I realized that as a brand, there are 39 reporters who are working at Citizen Television, probably still about the same, but on the news hour, will make it to the final product. So already every day you're working at a deficit of -10, -20. So how do I make it to be the person whose story will make it there. So I knew I had to stand out. So what I started doing, I made friends with the cameramen. They said, as a reporter, there's something called, how many of you are doing media here? Media? No? How many want to do media? You want to, okay. Because also another thing, the beautiful thing about media is you don't have to necessarily major in it, right? There are people who are doing media who have done literature, like Professor over here. There are people who are lawyers, Ken Mijungu, Julie Gishuru, all those are trained lawyers, but they turned out to come to media. That's the beautiful thing about the field of media. But you still need some expertise, of course. So there's something called a PTC. A PTC is a piece to camera. At the end of a broadcast, when you see that reporter there, whether it is Stephen Leto or Alex Chamada or Jeff Koinange, whoever it is who appears at the end and says Willis Raburu, Citizen at 9, that is called a piece to camera. So they said reporters are not supposed to do a piece to camera, but I used to do one every day, even if my story doesn't make it. So the few times my story made it, boss anaona anakasirika, anasema I thought we told you are here to be seen but not to be heard. But as a brand, if you're building a brand, the aim is to be seen and to be heard. That is the only way that you stand out, and that's how I started, and that's how we went on and built. And then came a time when there was a research that was done, and that's another thing you need to do for your brand. Research can be the hard, look for hard facts about the brand, or research inaweza kuwa just ask your neighbor if you have a pen, or if you have, what are the needs around. I was telling them a story about how our neighbor in campus had this amazingly beautiful girlfriend hapo neighbor wetu, na huyu girlfriend alikuwa ikifika around 6 unasikia ni kama manukato mayai hivi usiku zinapikwa. So the way that we needed to get access, sisi tukasema sisi tutakuwa tunachanga, tunaleta mayai, alafu yeye anafanya nini, anatupikia. So that was my research. But in this door here, there's a beautiful woman who cooks for this man. But do they have enough eggs? No. So let me buy the eggs, and then they can also cook for me. That is research. We used to have another gentleman along that our dog, alikuwa anaitwa Zulu. His name was Zulu Sounds. Alikuwa anafanya mambo ya speaker. But wakati alirealize that kuna need ya samosa, chapati, Zulu alikuwa anauza speaker, but during the week unamsikia kwa corridor samosa, and that's how he did his research. So research doesn't have to necessarily be at you're going to the deep figures, but for us, we did deep figures and Citizen, and we found out that tulikuwa tunawachiwa na wazee. No offense to wazee wa here. Tulikuwa tunawachiwa na wazee. So we needed a younger demographic to come. And that's how I sat down with Joey Mudengi and a producer called Alex, and we came up with the show 10 over 10. When we did 10 over 10, we literally, see the timeless, amekuja hapa anasema anapeana airtime. Sisi tulienda kwa streets za Nairobi, and we looked for anybody between the age of 18 and 24 and asked them, we need to pick your brain about music, about fashion, about shows, and we'll pay you 500 bob if you just come with us to our studio. So we got about 25-30 of them, and we started asking them, what music do you listen to? That's when they started telling us about Kina Boondocks, about all the Gengeton artists, Pale, Lambalolo, all those people. They started telling us about those artists that we didn't even know existed. They started telling us, we want a music show. We want to talk about fashion. We need to feel represented. Nyinyi mko na mwala hajawahi promotiwa hata kwa maisha yake, amekaa tu inspector. Tahidi hai hawa, those students don't even graduate, wanazeeka tu hapo. So that's how we started changing the narrative of what Citizen TV looked like, and that's how we came up with now 10 over 10. And then again, to stand out, there was nobody who was doing a live audience, a show with the audience. So we thought the best way we can stand out is to have a show and put an audience there. Now, that complicated things for me, because remember me nilikuwa nafanya news. So now here comes this 10 over 10, where again, everything vile alikuwa nasema, sisi tulikuwa tunaifanya. Wana hiyo show tulikuwa tunatwerk. Sorry, we were twerking. And I always say, as a man, all the men say, hey. All the men say, ria. Say maruko. Ria. Yeah. As a man, if you see a beautiful woman, It's just that you're not a camera, but si utamwangalia. So imagine now you're a cameraman. Na kamera yako iko na capability ya kuzoom. Na mbele yako kuna mafumba nya. Nikaona nionyesha jazi number. Of course the natural thing to do is to, because now you have the power to zoom. Now the challenge is mwenye anafinya button, mwenye afai kutuonyesha hiyo kwa TV, yeye amefinya, juu akifinya button inaonekana pia kwa screen yake. But ikiona kwa screen yake pia inaonekana kwa TV. And there is the complication that happened with what Ofiniko was saying. Remember, when the Communication Authority gives you a license, it says you are a family station. Even if we were in the watershed time, it started bringing some issues for us. It started bringing some issues for me as well as a brand, because on Sunday, those days church ilikuwa live. So Sunday nilikuwa pale nikiimba we give all the glory. Alafu Saturday nafumba nya. So it was a bit of a complication. But what we did, we just decided as a brand, after we did our research, that okay, people like it, because people would complain, but nilikuwa naambia hiyo show yako ni kali. Because also it was giving a platform to young people. And for me, the thing that was standing out for me was during the shows, these are people who, yes, they're singing these songs, but to them, they call before they go on air, Shosh, ujue niko about kwenda bado uko awake, Shosho bado uko awake, are you going to watch me? Na naenda pale, hata most of the guys for sailors, kinageuka nikubenge, anasema Shosh, ujue naenda kwa TV leo, sawa? And after that, Shosho anapiga, anasema wow, I'm so proud of you, leo nimeroho TV. For me, that is what stood out, that we're giving these people a platform, they are shining at home, their parents, their shoshos are proud of them. So even if there is a lot of noise, at least we're giving them a platform. Now, let's just clean up that brand. So those are the things you need to think about. How do you project your brand? Even if it is controversial, there's still a way you can project it, because 10 over 10, during its heyday, would make about 70 million per year for Citizen TV. From advertisers. One show we would charge about $1 million just to come and say, let's say, let me see, what can I, like Samsung. If Samsung wants to come and they want me to say, hey, welcome 10 of 10 and thank you so much. Now let me whip out my Samsung Fold and check out the people who are following us on 10 over 10 fan page. Here, that will cost you $960,000 for me to do 2 of those mentions, because the show is being watched by 3.5 million people every Friday. So that was what the brand was, and a value was put on the brand. And then what happened was, now comes another issue, because sometimes you can be pushing your business as the brand, but then there's also you, and that goes back to character that Ofuniko was talking about. There's also yourself as the brand, because the brand was making money, but Willis at the time was not making money. So I devised a plot. Some plot. Yes, I went and told a couple of people, I'm not saying you do this, but this is what I did. I went and told a couple of bloggers and says, Mwanzi, answer rumor, naenda NTV. So that niongeze na nikwambia, pale kwa NTV, sema Willis Raburu offered 800,000 by NTV. That time inside nilikuwa nalipo 150,000. So story ikaanza kwa blog. Watu wanauliza, Willis unatuacha? Nasema, guy, hiyo story inatoka? Mimi sijui. I don't know, but hata wakiniita na nipatie 800,000 naweza enda. So but this is because I already knew that the brand 10 over 10 has so much money it is making that if you do the math, even if let's say I'm being paid $1 million per month, what is $1 million times 12? It is 12 million, right? But the brand is making 70 million. So can they afford me or they can't afford me? They can. Because also you have to know your value so that you don't go and yap. There's all of you know Swale Mdoe, right? Swale Mdoe alikuwa anatuambia tukiwa interns, sema unajua mimi nimebarikiwa mimi nikienda pale niseme naondoka Citizen, watasema babu tulia, lakini wewe ukienda pale useme unaondoka, nakwambia tulikuwa tunangoja uondoke jamani, wafungue mlango na uende. So you need to know your value, and you only know your value by doing research. So the 800 story came to the point where now I was called by the bosses. So hii story tunasikia ni ukweli. Now remember, I also can't lie expressly because these bosses talk. So that's again part of research. These bosses talk. So know your brand, know who is who. Even kwa siasa tunaonanga we saw sijui wa Mshomba leo kwa huku, kesho kwa huku. Leo tuko na hata Rigiji alikuwa huku, leo sahii ako huku. So anything can happen. Every enemy talks. Enemies talk. Competitors talk. Nakumat will talk to Naivas, will talk to Quickmat. Everybody is trying to land themselves and get a competitive advantage. So when it came time to negotiate, I told them honestly, sija approachiwa, but I felt it is time for us to have this conversation about the value I bring, because every time I was absent from the show, advertiser will say, wacha tungoje Willis arudi, juenda anatupushia hii product yetu. So I asked them, sasa si mniongeze kidogo, but remember nina earn 150 na pale story imesema 800. So in my mind I'm thinking, I had about 800, but they gave me 220, which was still an improvement. But remember, wamekutoa kwa tax bracket moja, wamekurudisha kwa another heavier tax bracket, and that time I was still not so good with money, so I was really wasting a lot of it, because going to 20, I was living in a house I was paying 150k, and it was a 3-story house. It had 3 floors, and I was alone with my then wife. Double mistakes. Okay, so one of the things I failed to do honestly was research even about how to spend money, because you have to prepare, even for you, good sir, as you continue to grow, and anybody who begins to blow up and become viral, or your business starts making money, you have to have formed some structures around you, both people, because if I start going on a rant, for example, mtu amenikwaza, and then I start going on a rant on social media, and Timeless or Ofeneke calls me and says, hey, relax, unachoma. You need those people who you can listen to, right? So anyway, so I told them, hii to 20 ni sawa, nitaskuma, but remember I was doing 10 over 10, I was doing news, so my day was 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. I was on the breakfast show, then I go to radio from 10 to 1, then I read news at 1 o'clock until 2, then I go to the newsroom and do at least 1 story, and that was just on a normal day. On Friday, that included 6 to 9 on TV, then 10 to 1 on radio, 1 I read news, 3 to 7 on radio again, and then now 10 over 10. Then the next day on Saturday I come to read the lunchtime news, all on 220. Meanwhile, there was a sweeper who was earning 200,000. Mimi naleta 70 million, sweeper ameletwa, wacha nisichome sana. But you understand now, when you start looking at research, and to do research, you also need to be friends with everybody. Usiwahi dharau cleaner, usiwahi dharau watchman, usiwahi dharau anybody, because these people have sunk even entire governments. You can be sitting around talking about a plan. What we used to do when I was a political reporter, we would go to Cedars, where Babu was almost shot by a lie the other day. We would go to Cedars and tell the waiter, nataka kukulipa hii 3,000. Unaona ile meza pale Murkomen amekaa sijui na nani. Ukiserve tu pole pole, usikie wanasema nini. So nasikia Murkomen anasema, in fact hiyo deal tunaenda kusign kesho. Tunaenda kusign hiyo kitu kesho kabisa. In fact na nimeshamwongea na mzee, hiyo tutafanya. Tunasema, tuko na story. So when we are calling him, we say, hey, tunasikia wanafanya hivi na hivi. Nani amewaambia? Ni waiter hapo tu, because mna assume waiter. But yeye anaserve tu pole pole, akisikia. Research. Cleaner. Most of the times when a cleaner is clean, people just talk. They sort of assume huyu ajui kitu anafanya, but huyu anakuwa na information. Na yeye anataka kwa trash. Unaona wakishaandika memo ya ku-appoint Bishop akuwe ambassador to the United States of America, na maybe kuna mistake, watairarua waweka kwa trash, na huyo cleaner ndio ataangalia. So as that was happening, as that was happening, I realized I'm doing so much and I need to go and ask for more value. This time I didn't lie, because already nimeshafungua mlango. I just went and said, hey guys, I need more value. I need more money. Did the money come? No. So what happened? I started looking for another job. And I did. I found another job at an NGO, and I applied. That was now going to pay me $350. from 220 to 350, and I applied for the job, and I got the job. In fact, I went there, and it was a oral and a written test. I applied for it, and I got it. Now I came and said, Sasa, I'm not just asking for money, I am resigning. In fact, ninaenda kabisa na hutaniona tena hapa. Hey! Ikakuwa sasa kesi. And they called me. Timers will tell you, ukisikia unaitwa Runda and you are to all media, ujue sasa uko kwa mafuta. Sasa the Lord is shining his face upon you. Juko no place. So I was called there. And the owner of the company asked me, oh, I hear you want to go. You know, as owners, hizi vitu huwa tufikii. So just explain to me why it is you want to go. Nikamwambia bana, mimi hapa nafanya vitu kama 7. Now it has been about 3 years before the salary yangu increased. And my lifestyle, yes, I've made some pretty bad financial decisions. But I would like for you to just appreciate my value. Otherwise, these guys are paying me 350,000, and they have some, for those of you who work in the NGOs, there's something called a 13th salary, meaning in December, hiyo salary yako unalipwa mara 2. So kama ni 350, hiyo month utapata 700 kwa account. So like, these guys are doing good. Sasa hapo ndo nikajua yenyewe power and knowing your value, because I didn't ask for any money by the way. I just said, yeah, I think I'm going to go, and I explained it. I didn't have any ulterior motive this time. I didn't cheat anybody. And then I was told that was one of the biggest checks I ever got that time. Akaniangalia akasema, first of all, wacha niseme pole. Na nitasema pole vile najua unapenda kusikia pole. Akatoa checkbook. Akaandika moja 900,000. Akaandika ingine 900,000. Akasema shika pole. Then akaenda akatoa 200,000. Akasema pole, tafadhali baki. Sema amen. Lakini ujue, the problem with not knowing and building structures early enough, imagine I was given about 2 million, but deni zangu at that time was 1.7 million. So, hiyo pesa pia ilienda. However, my salary was significantly increased. Sasa hiyo sitasema because kuna watu wanawako huko sahihi wanaweza itumia kwenda kurenegotiate, but it was significantly increased, and I was given 13th salary as well as part of the deal. But I say this story to say that the reason why it's important to set structures and know your value as a building your brand is because there will be a time. It might not happen in 1 year, it might not happen in 3 months, it might happen somewhere along the way. There will be a time to blow up, because everybody has time. All of us who are living here, the only difference between you and being a millionaire, you and making it, you and getting married, you and your first child is time. That's the only difference. And how you work from point A to point Z is going to determine. So if you don't set your structures early now, if the gentleman here, professor, you don't start reading, researching, and reading and setting structures and looking for maybe a manager or reading about finances, how to manage your finances, taking advantage of what's out there, there's going to come a time where you'll have to make a pivotal decision about your brand, and you have to make sure that is going to be your make or break. So, I would say, as you're building a brand and you want to stand out, dare to do what people have not done before. That's what I did with 10 over 10. And even when I was living Citizen at the time, with all that money, I just felt that also, it is time for somebody else. And that's another thing you need to work out in your brand. Can your brand survive without you? That's number 1. Number 2, can you survive without that? Like in my mind, I was like, all these men I'm being given, can I survive? Honestly, at the time, the answer was no. But I felt such a conviction. And if you're an entrepreneur, sometimes you'll feel such a conviction about something that is a risk that nobody else understands except you. But you will have to take that leap of faith and go and do it and develop your brand. It could be people don't understand. There are many people on TikTok who are dancing, not only fans, but actually dancing as a living, and they're making a lot of money, more than even what people on mainstream media are making, more than even people who are in the office are making. So yes, you can get your degree and go that route. That's one route. You can be a dancer, you can be a content creator, make money. That's another route. But make sure you're taking time to learn around you. everything that all the 17 years of Fenwick has had, all the 16, uko kwa year 15. In fact, Timeless has given you a very powerful 15-year summary. It was believe, behave, become. That is the beauty of talks like this. We summarize all the years and just give it to you in a time like this. So, believe in yourself, ladies and gentlemen. People never believed in me. First of all, I was on TV and I was 140 kgs. Jumping on a stage. TV pale watu walikuwa chiseled man. Ona nanga Jeff Koinange, suti, we. Mimi niko hapa hata nilikuwa na dreadlocks. And I was 100 and something kgs. And I still got 2 babies. Bana. So just believe in yourself. Watch out. You see the way I've said, wangapi ni fans wa Arsenal? Huyu hata anasimama hapa karibu, huyu naye tunajua na believe in himself. But if you are shouting for Arsenal and all Arteta mwenye hata kujui, you are shouting here, I'm shouting for sijui Carrick ball. Carrick ajui hata Willis ni nani. But we can shout for them and give time and carve out time to watch a football match. What about your dream? How much do you believe in your dream? How much do you believe in yourself? Are you crazy enough about your dream to work at it? Because Champions League, hizo games inapanga siku hizo games ni 11, inaisha 1 a.m. Can you do something to build your dream for 1.5 hours, for 90 minutes? Can you give 90 minutes to your dream? The way you give 90 minutes to football, the way you give 90 minutes to porn, the way you give 90 minutes kwa kunyonga. Can you give yourself? Si tulisema tunaongea tu kweli. Unaweza kuwa una scroll hivi ushangai guy na time imefika na harimu simeisha. So just make sure you balance. Always treat yourself the best first, because nobody will treat you better than yourself. Love yourself. I always say successful people look like you. If you look in the mirror and you're looking for an example of success, there it is. Love yourself. Honor yourself. Make sure you are hopelessly head over heels in love with yourself. Then give time to what will build you. Give time to your dream, give time to your passion, because at the end of the day, Omanya hapa si niona juzi akikunywa juice nje ya nyumba kubwa ile kwa Kijaluo tunaita Palacio. Anatembea hapo, masigwembe ndio hizo hapo, chiseled man, kijana wa miraba 8 kwa sababu ya his passion, his running, and then how he built his brand. When he came here, me I was supporting. Wakati alikuwa sijui I show speed anataka hapo kukimbia na yeye, mimi nilimsupport. Because if akimbie na umie akiwa na I show speed na akona brand endorsement, kuna watu wamempatia gari, kuna watu wamempatia pesa mingi, kuna appearance fee, akiumia hapati hizo. I show speed akona views, likes, pesa. In fact, the way YouTube pays in America, I think when you have, for example, if you have 1 million views in Kenya, YouTube will pay you about, if it's doing it direct, maybe 250K, 50. But even if you have a third party, but if it's you running 50K, 1 million views. 1 million views in America is about almost like 400, 500, 600K. And then from 1 million, now you start, the views start counting different. So here is somebody who is already has so many views, anataka umanyala wetu, na akiumia, nani atampeleka hospitali? Habari yako? Hapana bwana, hakuna. Wacha akai kwa hiyo nyumba, wewe leta mguu juu, piga gym, wachana na mambo yao jamaa bwana. So, and that is all knowing yourself. If he didn't know who he was, and he was running for optics and running for just likes and shares, which are great by the way, because again everybody see you look good. Yes, if I come and tell you where is a lady, you look beautiful. You look beautiful. So you feel nice. That is the equivalent of a like. It's an endorsement of whatever it is you're doing. So it's okay, but don't live for them, because if you live for the applause, you will die by the booze. And I will leave you that and say again, just like Bishop said, nawapenda sana. I believe everybody in here is a success, because even me one day I was sitting and watching Alex Chamwada and Caroline Motuku come and speak to us, and I didn't know that one day I'll become a brand. So believe in yourself. Let nobody ever lie to you that you can't do it. You can do it. You can make it. You are made on purpose for a purpose. You're not an accident looking for somewhere to happen. You are made on purpose for a purpose, and you are made to shine. God bless you all. Thank you. We can do better. Jooust. Mimi nataka kwenda Kiswahili. Ufanisi ta 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 ta. Ufanisi ta 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 ta. Tunampenda ta 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 ta. Fundi, twende kazi. Ufanisi. Tunampenda. Natumai kwamba hesabati hapa Jooust sio shida. Ladies and gentlemen, next on stage, I don't want to mention his name. Can I mention the name? Wow! None other than Fernando Omanyala. I don't run for free, man. We've built a plan, man. We've built a plan. All protocol observed. Good afternoon. I don't know where to start from when the speakers before me have just done an incredible job. Good job, Willis. Good job, Dr. Foneke. Hype man. Kazi safi. Much has been said, and I just have a few pointers. I was told to speak about discipline and consistency, but I want to just give out a few pointers just want to give a few pointers and just tie that up with everything I've been said here. Nitaongea English kwa sababu one of the speakers said tunajua bali tuko. So English is not a problem. So the first thing I want to tell you guys from experience, it doesn't cost you to think big. It doesn't cost you anything to have so big fantasies in your small room, in your small house, or wherever you are. When I first joined sprinting, I was switching from rugby, and Kenya is not for sprinters, and very few people believed in the dream that I was telling them. And I had this dream that one day I'll be the first Kenyan sprinter to sign a contract with one of the major shoe companies. I had this dream that 5 years later I'll own cars, I'll own houses. That was me in campus. Oh, by the way, I'm a student of University of Nairobi. I'm still a comrade. I still am pursuing Bachelor of Science in Chemistry. So kuna time nilikuwa tu hostel. And I started having these fantasies that I want to be the first Kenyan to ever go under 10 seconds in 100 meters. All this seemed impossible to people, but then that was my dream. I was dreaming big. It doesn't cost me to dream big. It doesn't cost me to fantasize. It took me to the next point, which is don't be afraid to take risks. I took this risk. I remember when I was going to defer my studies to give 100% attention to athletics. The girl who was signing that paper asked me if I'm okay. Because alikuwa ananiuliza, how ignorant are you to defer your studies to go and do something that Kenya has never done before? Aliniita majina hapo, sitaki kusema, but nikamwambia tu nisainie paper. I don't know what she says every time she sees me on TV. I have no idea. But then you have to take these risks. Sometimes the dream is too big, but unakuwa scared. The dream might be so big that you think you cannot achieve that dream. But take that risk. Na hakuna kitu kinakuja rahisi. Because unajua, if it was easy, everybody will be running sub 10 now. If it was easy, everybody will be racing at your speed. If it was easy, these guys coming to the country will be looking for everyone who is doing that. And one thing again I want to remind you is don't do what the crowd tells you to do. Be unique. Because everybody might be thinking of a business idea. Kila mtu anafikiria anataka kufanya such a business to get the money. But then if all of us are going towards one thing, then ina lose value. think of something different. When I was playing rugby, there were faster guys on the field, but I took that step because I was going to be a dream that is going to take longer to achieve, but I knew one day, I'm going to achieve it. It took me 6 years to move from 10.4 seconds to 10.0. That's 0.4 seconds in 6 years. Every day waking up, trying to repeat the things that you did last week and trying to get better in those runs and the repetitions. But nobody was there. I was laughing with our friends some time back, and I say, your time, the 6 years that you guys don't know about, you guys know about the screens and the wins and the money, that's what people want to see, but there are 6 years behind all that success. And during that time, I had at most 10 people who believed in my dream. Ilifika mahali hadi mzee wake akasema sarudi shule ndugu yangu, because vitu zimekuwa hard. But then the 10 people who are believing in me are so proud of me right now. But now it's a different story. I'm now on a different journey. I'm on this journey that I'm chasing a world medal, a global medal, even a world championships or the Olympics. But the problem is, I have to be patient with the almost 10 million plus people. There are those people along the way who are showed off, and they're like, a Kenyan will never get to that level. But one day, we will get there. And because of that, I didn't give up. I didn't give up because I believe in this dream. And just like you might have visions, you might have dreams, but then it takes you to make sure that these people see these dreams. Nobody else will believe in that dream because you're the only person who sees how big what you're doing is. And I got a point in 2021. I started sprinting in 2016, so that's like 6 years, 5 years later. And I was like, I think I'm done. Because if it will go cheaper. And in 2021 I told God, this is my last year. And I can God me the strength just to go through all these processes that I have to go through. And that was my last year because I was through a lot of frustrations. It's not that I had been at the time. I went in for my first race in January 11, 2021. I broke the Kenyan record. Then the Kenyan record was 10.23. I came in, I ran 10.11. So I mean, I've broken the record. But then the guys in charge didn't believe that a Kenyan can run this fast. So there's a technicality in athletics that, in sprinting actually, from 100 meters to 400 meters, that when you run a race, there must be wind reading. Because sometimes, scientifically, if the wind is too much, it has pushed you to some microseconds. So if people don't like you, that's the technicality they'll use. So in my 10.11, that's the technicality they use. They say, nilibebwa na upepo. So that time doesn't count. But remember, I told God, this is my last year. Whatever happens, don't care about the fights. I don't care about what happens around me. I'm not going on after this year. So the next race I was not invited because the reason was napewa chance ya kukimbia and I ran too fast. I attract media attention. So I was thrown off the starting group. Hiyo time watu wanaenda kuanza race, starter akaambiwa yeye Manyala hafai kukimbia. So I didn't run that race. A few weeks later, because of my runs in January, I was invited to go to Nigeria for an event. And it's funny because I tried contacting different managers because in athletics you must have an agent who gets you races abroad. I emailed 30 of them, only one came back. And we applied for one race in Europe. And the organizer told me he doesn't believe the time's coming from a Kenyan because they can't run fast. But then I had this belief in myself. I said one day will be day one. So I went to Nigeria, so excited. Home in Kenya, I'm not really welcome because these guys, I really never had an idea of what was going on, but they didn't really appreciate me. So in Nigeria, I get to Nigeria, I'm given some really good reception. This was in March 2021. And I was given a fleet of cars from the airport, get to this hotel, umebukiwa a 5-star hotel, something that has never happened before. And I told God, give me strength
give these guys a show. And that's what I did. And remember, the Olympics had been postponed from 2020 to 2021. And now the qualifying time for the Olympic Games was 10.05. And my first run in the Nigerian soil I did at 10.02. Meaning I've qualified, I've broken the Kenyan record. But then I think kulikuwa tuna shetani alikuwa ananiandama. So I came back to Kenya. Exciting stuff. Every media house is talking about this new kid on the block called Omanyala. But then when you get into the country, there's an email that is sent to Nigeria, and now apparently Nigeria had some two fighting federations. There's one that was supposed to leave the office and the other one that was supposed to get into the office. But then the email got to the bad federation that was supposed to leave office, and they replied and said, we didn't even know about this race. This race was done, not sanctioned by us, so all the results were cancelled. And so I have to start again. I remember I told myself in June, I'm going back to play the 7th circuit because now we make a done. So I didn't give up. I continued to play and I continued to train. But then the miracle happened during the Olympic trials. And I qualified at home and I was put into the national team. So I didn't give up. I needed all this strength to keep going on. It's not going to be easy. Whatever idea, whatever plan that you have, trust me, it's not going to be easy, but it's you who is supposed to go ahead with that plan and make sure that you achieve what you want to achieve. Another thing is, no man is an island. As you see me standing here, I am the face of the work that's being done behind me. I need coaches, I need physiotherapists, I need medical teams, I need people who pray with me, I need spiritual parents. You're not alone. So usiogope to get support from whatever you can. And you can't rise to the top alone. You need people to hold your hand. So ukipata mzee anataka kusupport, don't push them back because you'll need them. And don't let opportunities pass. And I always use this example. When I joined police force, people asking me, why do you need that for? Because you have everything. But then Minulim say, who has the opportunity? I better take this opportunity right now. And then drop it later, if you realize I decided. So okay, drop opportunities, are you expecting for something else to come up then? I think that won't be a good decision. Because there's the opportunity next to complete. So every opportunity that I could get, that's how I made to who I am today. And when you get to the top, always know your worth. That has been said that so much on this podium today. I will give you a story. There's a time in 2023, we got Diamond League. Diamond League is the third biggest event after the Olympics, the World Championships, now the Diamond Leagues. And only 8 sprinters are invited to those races. 8. And for you to qualify for those races, you have to be among the top 30 best sprinters in the world. So at the time, I was invited in one of the Diamond Leagues. And we had a conversation, we agreed on the appearance fees, we agreed on everything else, but then before we finished that conversation, I request for rooms because I don't travel alone. I travel with like 3-4 guys. I have to have a physio, I have to have my manager there, I have to have my coach, nutritionist, you have to have your psychologist with you. So when you go to these races, they have to provide rooms for these people. So the guys come back and say, hey man, the rooms are jar. So we sat down with my manager and I told these guys, we're not coming. We replied to the email and told them we're not coming, as much as to may agree all these appearance fees and stuff. This one thing has to be fulfilled. And it's funny because we treat the West with a lot of respect. But then when it comes to them to treat us with the same respect, it becomes a problem. It was a very hard thing for them to accept because they knew the value I'm bringing to the race. The lineup was me and some American guy. That was the matchup. And they knew if they lose me, it's not going to bring the hype that they want to bring. That conversation was taken from email to WhatsApp because email is going to chelewesha responses. That's how everything was given to us. So, know your worth. As much as we're building the brand, you build your business yako to a certain level, you should know how much you've struggled to build that. And just when when the brands grow, and when you grow, when the businesses grow, you have to grow with them. I tell my team, my coaches and my staff that nimekuwa this big, but then you have to be bigger. Because at some point my career will come to an end, and then career yangu ikiisha, what happens to yours? So make sure you know your worth. But pia ukifika hapo juu, stay humble. Life is funny. We talk about things, we plan stuff, but we don't know about the next minute. We don't know about the next hour. Because life is funny. I use this quote a lot when I'm speaking. Is the first bath that was done to us was done by someone. Kizaliwa mzali kuosha. And the last bath out of this world again will be done by someone. So as if to sort, as much as we're struggling to look for them, all this is vanity. There's only one peace, the peace of God, that will reign supreme. So as much as we are working so hard to look for money, to look for all these things, remember, stay humble. Humility is one thing that has carried me through to where I am today. Because when you touch someone's life, they pray for you and they wish you well. And my last point as I finish is always involve God in everything that you do, because He's the maker of the world and is the decider, and He decides our destinies. The smallest thing, like what clothes can I wear today? The smallest thing, like which road should I take today to go home? I always use an example as well. On a time there was a deaf championships in Kasarani, and I was called by one of the organizers and told me, Fadi, can you come and grace our occasion? I said, yeah, that's fine. And I was like, who watches deaf championships? So nikatoka tu kwa nyumba vile nimevaa. I just dressed up, not so well. So I get into the VIP area and I see an incident. I went into the washroom and tried to have it there, but damage has already been. The smallest thing, like what can I do today? Going to wardrobe and just put and as you
Makofi yake. Sikivu.
Tunampenda. Thank you so much. At this particular moment, allow me invite with all humility the founder and director of Project Liam. You realize on our program we have the question and answer. He will do the closing remarks and will only allow 5 questions which will be able to be answered. Then we proceed with the program. Karibu sana.
Thank you. We like to keep time as much as possible because we know also you're busy people. I want now to give us the way forward. I want to give us the way forward. What's going to happen next from here? There are people who have registered their names because they have businesses or because they have business ideas. And this is the 5th university we are coming to. We were first in Jooust, Zindabuliro. We had 270. We went to Chuka. We had 500. We are now undergoing the incubation course. We went to Moi University. We had 530. In Kisii University we had 712 that we are working with now. I'm told up to this time in Jaramogi we have about 708 who have registered. We are expecting some more to. Give yourself a clap, you have done very well. What is going to be the way forward? We are going to consolidate, we are going to onboard you onto our training system because you have businesses, you have designed a business idea. We are going to have experts in these areas who are going to train you online for about 4 months, once a week. At the end of the 4-month period, you are going to do things like how to design your product, how to do your market segmentation, thinking, market segmentation. You're going to have a master class on AI. You're going to do some financial accounting. You're going to do compliance with the law and all these kind of things to make your business bankable, to make your business, to bring your business idea to life. At the end of the 4 months, you're going to take 1 month to come to the ground to verify that what you're telling us is on ground. And at that time, we're going to eliminate some businesses. We're going to do an elimination process because we are looking for the best 10. Once you have done the elimination process, then the ones who are remaining, maybe 20 or 30 that are remaining, will give you an opportunity to pitch. We have a panel of industry leaders that are going to be in charge of selecting the best 10. I've talked, for example, to Honorable Tuju. Honorable Tuju will be part of our panel, which is a businessman. I've talked to a gentleman called Mike Rabar, who is the CEO of Homeboys, it's a friend of mine. I've talked to him. I've talked to Wahu Kagwe, is going to be part of the panel. I want about 5 industry leaders who are going to be part of the selection panel. And then we are going to train you how to make a pitch deck and how to pitch. After you have done your pitching, they are going to select for me the best 10, the most viable 10. And those 10, we shall come here and I will personally hand over to them a check of 100,000 shillings each for their businesses. Makofi ya Bishop.
Mani, makofi.
What happens to the rest of the people? 1, I'm talking to some of the government people to see if we can include you into the president's program that he's doing. This is number 1. Number 2, you'll get an opportunity to come for cohort 2 because this is not the only time you're doing this. You're going to be doing this every year. You're going to be coming to this campus, maybe not necessarily me the first time I've come, but we have teams that will be coming here now that you know the program. You're going to have cohort 2, cohort 3, cohort 4. Everybody will have multiple chances to have their businesses funded because our desire is to see the creativity within you unlocked and you being given a verifiable and real opportunity to find expression to the vision that God has put within you. So if you have not registered, we are now right now at 708 or something, you still have an opportunity to do so. Then our program manager, Sarah Machio here, will contact you. You have a secretariat, they will contact you, they will onboard you, and you will start your training. It's one thing to register, it's also another thing to be diligent through the training period, because even if you don't get the top 10 award, the knowledge you will get. That's why we want to train everyone, so that even if you don't get the award, the skill set you'll get to be able to make your businesses bankable, you'll be able to give you opportunity. Even if you don't get from us, you can pitch to anyone, you can pitch to any investor, you can pitch to any venture capitalist, and they'll be able to understand what you're doing because you're doing it according to their language. You're doing it with a trained mind, you're doing it with a business mind, and they can understand the way you're doing it so that they can be able to fund you. Is that okay? Is that understood? Comrades, is that understood? I know tunasikia njaa, tumeka soda. Soda. Yeah, after this, iko soda mahali and I think some snack. at the very least. Dr. Foneke alisema msipige, and you are alive because those skins can kill you in 1 minute. Nilisikia Willis hapa alikunywa yake na akafuata akianguka. If you are disciplined and you don't engage in those things and you are alive by that time, I know for the first cohort of this congregation we want to create 10 millionaires. Next year we'll create another 10. The other year we'll create another 10. You have not walked out, you have not here. So at least the bare minimum. In Jesus' name. Okay, 5 questions, then we go home. 5 questions. 5 questions. Make sure your questions make sense. And make sure your questions are general. Not, I have my auntie at home. She did. Quickly. My name is Stephen Russell. Your name is who? How can a young entrepreneur build a business that is both profitable and integrity? In a world obsessed with what? Get rich schemes. Get rich quickly schemes. Yes. Okay. If you're a young person and you want to build a business that is filled with integrity, a simple answer is join the program. We'll show you how. Is that okay? Next question. Shh, quiet. Let's give people, let's respect. We said this discipline here. Respect your colleague. Meanwhile, the third question, get ready. Don't waste the chances. There are only 5 questions. You don't ask something silly. There are only 5 chances. Yes. What's your name? Quiet. Uchenge Roy. Yeah. better for you if you join this program. This is what we are here to show you how. Next question. Those are 2 chances missed. Yes.
My name is Edwin Arona.
Yes, Edwin.
I wanted to ask
Quiet, tafadhali. Yes.
if you have a business
Yes.
and financial power, where can you get financial power?
Huyu anataka nini? Anataka
another
nini? Nisikia mzee alisema anataka economic power. Anataka nini? Now, there are various institutions that fund businesses depending on which industry you're in. Is that okay? And now, part of what we'll be training people is where do you source your finances from? There are several sources of finances. There are very many venture capitalists. There are very many loans, non-recourse loans. There are very many grants, and we'll connect you with the grant. You're not even looking at the man is looking at his girl. Is that a girl? There are very many organizations, NGO, venture capitalists, very many people that fund viable ideas. So if you have an idea or if you have a business and you want to scale that business, there are very many people on ground that fund such. Is that okay? Depending on which industry you are in. This is part of the things we need to train you in so that to tell you if you can't get from us, if you go here, you're likely to get. You listen to me? Okay. But I think that is 2.5 chances missed.
Okay, I have one last question.
Yes.
Can you start a bakery with one lawyer?
This is you. It's you again. I think you have asked your question next.
Okay, mine is not a question. My name is Masawa, but I picked one lesson from Jooust, from Dr. Fweneke, that it has worked, and I felt to share it with the comrades. Comrades power! Comrades power! Okay, so the lesson was, if you do something consistently, and it was on psychology of Kenyans, in one week the Kenyans will come back. So at that point I deactivated my social media spaces, and I realized from December to date I've gotten 3,000 more followers on Facebook, and also on LinkedIn I've added 1,000 followers. So the reason why I'm always a comrade at heart, and this is very important. Don't ask stupid questions. The people speaking to you have taken a lot of their time and sacrifice. Even if you didn't hear anything, but you picked one lesson, run with it. Thank you so much, and I'm here representing Club today. Thank you.
The last one more. That's it. One more. You, Mr. B. Please sit down, sir. Yes. Make it count.
Yes, Comrades Power. Yes, I'm going to ask a question of which I need you to answer it.
That's why we're here.
Yes. So, what qualities do you look at as student-led business before you decide to support it?
What qualities?
Do you look for in a student-led business before you decide to support it?
There are very many qualities. One of them is business viability, two, business scalability. There's so many. Sarah, please come and answer this question in 2 minutes. Give her a microphone. She's our program manager.
So I think in this day and era we have so many businesses in so many sectors, and when you sit there don't think you're the only one in that area. So you need to find your competitive advantage. What's your competitive advantage, right? So what is unique about your business? It's not just about starting a business, but what is unique about it? So that by the time you're looking at it, you can see this value that you bring on the table, and it's not just the other businesses that we're used to. Just to add on to what Bishop has said.
So there are many people making bread with the loaf, like that gentleman was saying. But what is the unique about you, so that if you put money in yours, that money will multiply, neither it will not drink water. Is that okay? So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'd urge you to, first of all, appreciate all our panelists, all our guests. I want to state publicly here that none of these guests has charged us to be here. They are doing this as a service to you. If I I was to pay them, even if I was to pay them 200,000 shillings each to be here, which is their red card, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, I would have paid 1 million just to hold this as their fee. But they have given this, they have spent a whole day with you for free. I hope you see value. Can you now celebrate them properly? And they will continue to be here to be available for those who are in the program. Part of the experts that will be training you will be calling them so that you can ask them individual questions, especially in the sectors that they're in, so that they can be able to lead you. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Can we appreciate